Our guest this morning, Ken Okolubo, a one-time commissioner and political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on.
It's always my pleasure. Yeah.
Indeed. And Ikechukwu Ikeji, public affairs analyst and legal practitioner. So, this is the situation. Give me your take first. Let me start with you, Ken. One should be apprehensive when people start talking about coup in whatever the garb within the military. Now the general, the chief of army staff, Buratai, is the guy who actually, so to speak, blew the whistle that people were trying to put horrible ideas into his men's heads.
But well, the chief of army staff should know better because the Directorate of Military Intelligence, the DMI, reports directly to him, which is a very strong arm of the intelligence arm of government. And it is expected that when he makes such statements, he's making the statement based on the intelligence he must have gotten from the Directorate of Military Intelligence. But if you ask me, my own perspective, coups are no more fashionable in Africa. If you remember what happened in Burkina Faso, if you remember very well, the coup plotters did not even last up to 3 weeks. You remember, by the time the pressure came on the West African leaders, they had no choice, but they had to elect an interim person to take over from the major who saw to that coup in Burkina Faso, which was 2 years back, just before the 2015 elections. So if we take an example of what happened in Burkina Faso, which is one of our neighboring countries here, you know Burkina Faso cannot be compared to Nigeria, such a small country. If a coup cannot take place, and they could not succeed. Even Gambia, it wasn't a coup, but by the time he refused to hand over, he was forced out. Even though the army was they were ready to back him.
Indeed, indeed.
They were forced to backtrack when they saw that the West African leaders were hell-bent on carrying out a military push against them.
Which is exactly the kind of scenario, Ikechukwu, that people, I imagine, not just Tinubu, but you know, he's a leader. That's why he jumps to mind immediately. But many other notable people have also pointed out that there just will not be any takers. Are you as optimistic as Ken is that we do not need to lose any sleep over that whole idea? It can't. That particular horse won't jump.
Absolutely, I'm very optimistic. I'm optimistic that there will be a natural wave of revolt by the elements.
Because we've come too far.
Because we've come too far against any attempt to stage a coup or any dream of a coup. Like Ken said, the signs are ominous. The signs are everywhere today. Even in Turkey, what happened, we saw how thousands of people went into the street, and it was a question of people standing between coup plotters and the government in place. And so it was easy that the government didn't even need to have worked too hard to foil the coup. The people themselves rose up against the coup. It's so sad that such situations should arise in this 21st century Nigeria, where we are priding ourselves, as it were, as civilized, for people to think of anything close to staging a coup. And if you look at what is happening in Cameroon, our next door neighbor, you realize that they have all but staged a coup. If it were possible for coups to happen successfully, Cameroon would have been one of the examples where coups would have been staged, because today, as we speak, communication is caught in Cameroon.
Well, that's a situation that's been on the ground there for quite a while. You know, as you I'm sure are aware. Ken, what has brought about this whole coup conversation in, you know, beer parlors, you know, pepper soup joints? I guess, distasteful as it is, it needs to be said, it's all because the president is ill, he's away, we've heard of some political restiveness, if that is indeed what you just
answered the question.
So all of this rubbish is in the air, and as if that wasn't enough, people still have to lead the conversation in this way.
Well, what I want to say is that it's again I must also blame it on the fact that the activists they've spoken from two corners of the mouth this time around. No matter how sentimental you want to be with the president's situation, the president has been quite honest in transmitting letters to the acting president, transmitting it to the Senate, and giving powers to Shibajo. But we must rise above that sentiment. The sentiment here is the president is not feeling fine. He has said it all, that he has never been this sick. But if you remember, on the 10th of March, I remember clearly 2010, when the Northern Unity Forum visited the then General Buhari, they were agitating that as at then they didn't want Goodluck Jonathan to contest. You know, Yar'Adua wasn't dead. Yar'Adua had only just returned, and the doctrine of necessity had been done on the 10th of February 2010. So already Goodluck had become the acting president. Yar'Adua had been flown back on the 24th of February, and Yar'Adua was alive and was in the country, but nobody had seen him. Buhari said very clearly that the Federal Executive Council abdicated their responsibilities in declaring Yar'Adua incapacitated because Yar'Adua cannot function. That was why he said they should declare Yar'Adua incapacitated, or the National Assembly should impeach Yar'Adua. He was very vocal about it. It's funny because this is the same situation we have found ourselves. As much as we're sentimental and we wish the president to get well soon, it's obvious he's incapacitated. It's obvious he cannot function presently on his duties as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is what incapacitation is all about. But the question you raise that can the president appointed by the president
is not even
declare him
around
incapacitated.
at all. You know,
no, but he's not around because he's ill.
Yeah.
That is the same thing. That's why he cannot function.
Many people are ill. It doesn't mean that you can't function, but you're ill and it can't be in two places at the same time.
But when you can't function,
let's not go.
You're
speculating. You're speculating. I think the much that you are sure about is that the president is not presently at his desk.
Yes.
Therefore, he cannot function at his desk. And Professor Oshibajo has been given that mandate.
That is the sentiment I'm saying.
Very simple.
You're whipping up that sentiment, Yori.
Which sentiment?
I told you what he did on the 10th of March. I like what he did, General Buhari. He said Yar'Adua should have been declared incapacitated. He was in the country, but couldn't function.
Okay.
I'm picking my words from Buhari.
Okay.
I'm picking my words from him. I'm not picking it from any other person.
In a different time.
Now,
yes,
we have to relate it with the present events of the possibility of a coup. Now, the Buhari in those days had asked for the Federal Executive Council to have stepped in to declare Yar'Adua incapacitated. That would have been akin to asking the camel to pass through the eye of a needle. It was an impossibility, and still an impossibility. It's a discussion for another day. To what extent does that help the Nigerian society? Now, I want to create certain narratives around this coup. One of the narratives is that perhaps people are displeased with the fact that
this rumored, speculated coup.
Yes.
No coup. There's no coup.
There's no coup, absolutely. You're very correct. You're very correct. So the one narrative would be, and this is from my own subjective viewpoint, one narrative would be that some people are dissatisfied with the fact that here is a president who ought to be on seat, but is not on seat, and nothing is being done, and he is not acting as he ought to act, and perhaps governance, the way they expect it, is not going properly. The second narrative would be that there will be the need to step in and stop the possibility, and this is very, very, very delicate. Step in and stop the possibility of anything happening to Buhari and Professor Oshibajo stepping in. So perhaps the coup becomes a situation where people are using it to maintain power within a certain power block. So this is a narrative. It's a possibility.
As you said, it's an imaginative composition. It's an imaginative composition altogether. But let me come back and look at that. But let's first of all go to break. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Got the duo of Ken Okolobo and Ikechukwu Ikeji. And both of them have been, presenting highly colorful, highly speculative, highly imaginative scenarios that possibly could explain the situation we have on our hands. We're talking about the rumored coup. If the Chief of Army Staff, no less, blew the whistle on it, then it needs to be taken very, very seriously. Okay, well, Ken Okolobo, his ideas, he's a political commentator, analyst, I understand all of that. He's also a very, very staunch, proud PDP member of the Ali Modu Sharifa faction in particular. So, I understand it when you come from where you're coming from. But is it not also true that there seems to be some insecurities around the whole place? That's the way we on the outside can look at it. And if the top dog is not in, all his people, naturally are on sort of half duty, it would, relaxed duty, it would, whatever the proper terminology is. So you see all of these kind of problems. So it's not surprising at all to some people, even though they say, look, as nationalists, why are people talking like this? Just yesterday, somebody called me, my brother called me from the UK and says, what's this rumor I'm hearing? I had to quickly send him the URL of our own newspaper saying that this is satanic. People should not be wishing the president dead. And people are floating fake news. So we need to draw the line somewhere. But in any case, as all of this is going on, leaders are warning that those that are that traditionally have been able to pull coups in this country should just be very careful. Even as politicians, and only God knows who those politicians are, even as politicians are alleged to be trying to influence the minds of officers.
What I think here, Yori, is that we shouldn't even, let's not even reduce it to politics. As much as we can, yes, I know you want to bring in the fact that I'm a member of PDP and I want to play politics with it. Naturally, politicians like...
You don't hide the fact that you're a PDP man.
No, I know. Politicians like us will always cash in on any situation I want to play politics. But I'm being very honest here. We shouldn't play politics with the health of the president. But the truth about it is that a president that appointed a Federal Executive Council, like Ikeji said, will be a talk of another day. It will be very difficult for that Federal Executive Council to be bold enough to declare him incapacitated.
No, we're not talking about incapacitation. We're talking about the coup rumor.
Yeah, why I'm coming, I'm drawing it now. We have a correlation with what I'm saying. The fact that, where did Ikeji come from? Ikeji is coming from a very strong perspective, saying that this rumor of coup is to keep a section of the country in power. You don't deny that you don't understand where I'm coming from here. You know where I'm coming from when I talk of incapacitation. When they do that, does it not settle the matter and Oshibajo becomes the president? And now you have somebody from another party becoming the vice president. Then this matter of coup can now abate. But let me tell you, this matter of coup is in the air now, which even though there is no coup, because there is this notion that a certain part of the country wants to keep the power afloat. Remember, I drew you back to March 10th and said the Northern Unity Forum visited Buhari. Remember where I was coming from? I didn't say national. I said Northern Unity Forum because they wanted to keep the power in the north, which was with Yaradua. And so they wanted Buhari to make a categorical statement so that Jonathan would not have to run. Because Jonathan running, it becomes impossible to keep power in the north. So it is all a northern agenda that we are looking at now. So nobody wants a coup, but this coup thing is happening because of the vacuum.
There is no vacuum.
Oh, there is a vacuum. Our president is in the UK.
Come on.
When I mean vacuum here,
I'm not
saying there is no acting president
in governance.
But you see, let me tell you,
the country is not in limbo.
There is an extent to which the acting president can go.
No. Who said that? That's what you are saying.
He has all the powers, but politically there's an extent to which he can go. Can he dissolve the FEC tomorrow? Can he sack any minister without approval from the president?
You're going to politicize this. You know the facts, and you know better. Everything has been done. The Constitution is behind the Vice President, now acting President.
Okay, let me withdraw the word vacuum. Let me say right now, our sitting president is not on seat. Let me not say vacuum.
Let's be clear about this. I as a lawyer, this is my tough, and I stand very brave and bold to say that this is my tough. There is absolutely no vacuum in governance in Nigeria today.
Don't mind Ken, PDP. Don't mind PDP, Ken. PDP, Ali Modu Sheriff variety of PDP. Don't mind him.
Any thought or idea of saying that there exists any form of lacuna, any form of vacuum, or any form of space for something less than governance is lending credence to the fact that we do not have a constitution.
Apart from that, the person is being unpatriotic.
Well, that's another
But you
story.
have withdrawn the word vacuum. I said,
you have withdrawn the word vacuum.
I said I withdrew vacuum. I said there is no sitting president. There's an acting president.
So now, the acting president...
Maybe you thought vacuum was going too far. So let me withdraw the word vacuum.
Let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. The acting president is the president in fact and in law.
Yes.
He is the president to all intents and purposes, for all reasons whatsoever that you may want to imagine. The acting president stands instead, in the stead and in the seat and in the position of the president. He can do anything that the president can do in fact and in law, including and not restricted to even sacking ministers, including and not restricted to doing anything, signing anything whatsoever that the president can sign. The fact of whether he should do them or whether he can do them or whether he wants to do them is a different issue altogether. But the powers reside in him to so do.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So,
so Ikechi, while we agree that he has the power,
wait a minute.
I'm happy he came with that saying, if he has the will. This is the will we are talking of, not because he doesn't have the powers. He has the powers 100%. Nobody is going to
you're going to do like that this morning, Ken.
The will.
That's the way you're going to do this morning, Ken. That's the way you're going to do this morning, Ken. It's all right. Because the point here, really, thank you very much. And thank you also, Ken. The point here is that the Constitution was designed and indeed has accommodated the absence of the president so that it's almost of no consequence apart from the fact that, of course, we want our president, but if he has to be away, then every last thing to avoid a vacuum has been done. And it was not done hurriedly. It was not done hurriedly. It was not done desperately. It was done calmly, calculatedly.
That section 145 was amended, and it clearly says that for you to travel, because of the lacuna that happened that last time between Yar'Adua and Jonathan, you must transmit a letter. So it's not a case of traveling now without transmitting a letter. It was amended.
Let's also see a situation.
We're talking about the rumored coup.
Yes.
All these things is becoming of...
Your own is too much, Ken, but it's all right.
We have to relate
but we don't want any coup. There can't be any coup.
Let's relate it to the coup. I want to highlight something, that it is not only when the president transmits a letter. The amended section is very clear, that even where the president does not transmit a letter, 21 days down the line,
he becomes acting.
The vice president resumes as acting president with all powers of the president. Having put that out of the way, let's look at the elements.
That was to arrest the doctrine of necessity.
That was to arrest the doctrine of necessity. Now, the question of coup, we must not sweep it under the carpet, because the more you sweep such things under the carpet, like I heard one military commander say, someday the carpet will become so bumpy that as you're walking on it, you'll be falling.
Yeah.
So let's not sweep that matter of coup under the carpet. Let's put it in the front burner. People should be ready at any point in time to get into the streets, to raise their voices, to raise whatever powers that they have, to stay back at home, not to walk, to oppose any coup that may come out from any person or any
that is even
whatsoever.
if the idea,
even if the idea,
were to see the light of day.
Assuming without conceding that there is such an idea, we must continue. That's the point I am making. We must continue to put it in the front burner. I like the way some people are putting it in the front, on the front pages of the newspapers. It has to be there. Yeah. It has to be a signpost. Do not even think about it.
Yes.
The worst form of democracy is better than the best form of militocracy. Because
those assertions, Ken, you probably agree, are reflecting the mood of the nation. Say, we're not going to stand for any nonsense. We've come far too far for that. The gains we've made, nobody is going to fritter it away and then you go and begin again. So it's just like, it's not going to happen. And people are warning. But for those that, for whatever reason, might still be considering it, it's, as he said, it's on the front pages, it's on everybody's lips. Say, don't even go there. You probably are in agreement with that.
No, I think it would be the biggest mistake. It would be a fatal mistake for any military officer. Any military officer now should have gone through the NDA. I assume the NDA is a university degree awarding institution. So it would be the biggest mistake for any military officer who has studied history to attempt a coup in Nigeria. I dare say, although you are saying that we should put it in the front burner, I dare say I think that anybody in this country as it is now, that believes a coup can even succeed must be dreaming.
Or that it can even
Absolutely.
solve any of our
dreaming.
problems.
Because it is impossible. The minute you will not even get to the radio station. I doubt it. So I doubt it.
You know why we must not sweep it under the carpet.
Sure.
During the Babangida era, remember clearly that everybody was on Babangida to hand over. There was this pressure everywhere from civil society, every angle. He was on a hot seat to hand over. But that did not stop Gideon Oka and his partners from planning and wanting to execute that coup. So that means that in spite of the overriding tide against the need or necessity for a coup, there may still be certain elements somewhere who will still be stubborn, who will still be obstinate enough as to even start dreaming and trying to plan such things. And so we must let them know clearly that we, in spite of how much opposed we are to the government, in spite of how much we are disaffected, dissatisfied with the economy, with what is going on in any situation whatsoever, we would not accept and we would not support anything that has to do with coup.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And spoken as a true, political analyst. You're not a card-carrying member of any particular
I am not.
No, it's just Ken that is PDP, Ali Madu Sharif faction. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and we're looking at the purported, the rumored, speculated, imagined coup that everybody is saying don't even go there. Mazi Okoroafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Yeah.
Sir, you see, we have reached a level in terms of democracy that anything about whether it's rumored, it cannot work. Anything about coup cannot work in this country. Because one, Nigerians' eyes have opened. We are aware, we know the importance of democracy because nobody in this country will welcome anything about military because we know over 30-something years of military in this country, it was purely military. Even the truth was very, very hard for all the journalists to even open their mouth and say the truth. So nobody in this country, nobody will ever pray say anything like this. So anybody nothing the hope or open, that is because United Nations is against them, Africa is against it, ECOWAS are against it. So I talk about international community. So anything about that one is council, not an point. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant day in Lagos.
Indeed, thank you very much. I think we've identified the fact that there are human factors involved here. Naturally, human beings. When the president was in town, when he was at his desk, there was a whole army of people. Forget the pun. A whole army of people that were up and doing, were active. Naturally, they have to be on sort of reserve duty now, and other people have come on ascendancies. There are people who are not going to be happy with this.
Exactly. Perfect. That's a great analysis.
There are people who are not going to be happy with this.
Yes.
And so they're going to be throwing out as much as they can. It's just, as Mazi was just saying, we can't be hoodwinked anymore.
Yes, you are very brilliant in that analysis. It is something like I always say, we can't play the ostrich. We can't continue to sweep such things under the carpet. These are realities. You have rightly pointed out that there are people who were close to the president when he is on seat. And now that he's not on seat, other sets of people have been thrown up. Now, those people who were with the president, who are no longer in the limelight, as the case may be, may also have their disaffections, may also have their own intentions.
Although one can't imagine why on one team, one presidency.
Yes, it's politics.
But one presidency.
Yes. Now, there are two loyalties. There are people who will be loyal to Simbajo, and there are people who will be loyal to Buhari. But
you're supposed to be loyal to the Federal Republic.
Those two groups are loyal to the Federal Republic and APC.
And the Constitution.
When you now come to the subset of loyalty, that you start splitting it. And when you even get into some of those loyalties, you can also split it into further subsets. And that's how it goes. So we cannot...
At this stage of our development, that's how it has to go, right?
That's how it
Reverend Dominic, good morning.
Good morning, Chief Jore.
Thank you for calling in.
I think you have taken me some time. Could you give me 1 minute, please?
Sure.
Because this is a very sensitive issue, and we are talking to the world through TVC. Jore, coup in Nigeria, God forbid. Coup in Nigeria, God forbid. Military coup again in Nigeria, God forbid. Now, let me say this. I'm not Kane. I'm not my brother there. The Kane is not qualified to discuss this issue as a PDP member. That's by the way. The one I'm trying to say is this. What is impossible in Nigeria? Remember, it takes two to tango. That politicians, which are Nigerians, approaching the military, which are Nigerians. What is possible here? And I had someone saying in Turkey that when they did it, people came outside. The way Nigeria economy is today, and the way the kind of sensible people we have in Nigeria, we are just right. If there's a coup here today, it is me. It's Kay. It's my very top brother here that can shout. Nigeria will be at home. He will give us bread. It will be better. Do you remember? PDP members were saying give us corruption and take anti-corruption. Kay and the good. We are crying for corruption here. That's the good governance. Now, when someone says give us corruption and take your discipline, he's calling for Coup. And let me tell you this. Let me answer the barrister. Don't compare bad and good. Don't compare worst and good. Good kind of way it is today. If not Jerry Lawrence and the company who have good ideas, Ghana will be qualified today. A bad government is a bad government. A good government is a good government. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for calling.
No, but I think, Reverend Dominic, you get it all wrong. This, like we have said, we've joked about a few things here. What I was trying to point out was I was trying to remove the sentiment of what was going on in the country right now. That's what I was basically doing, Reverend Dominic. Let me make it clear to you. I was going beyond politics to say that when we had the same situation in 2010,
which you've gone over about three or four times. You said it about 3 or 4 times this morning.
Visited Buhari. It was a different kettle of fish. So what I'm just saying is that now that we have the same situation, we should also remove sentiments aside. That's all I'm saying, Reverend Dominic. It's not about bringing in the PDP angle to it. We're all in this country. We all know what we're facing.
Yes.
But like what TKG said,
yeah, but there is a PDP angle to it.
No matter how bad the economy is, the worst civilian regime is better than any military dictatorship. And we all know that. As a student of political science, that was one of the first things I was taught at school.
Mr. Smith, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Am I on?
Yes, you are on air right now. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to contribute as regards the Coup rumor.
Yeah.
What I have in mind to talk about as regards the Coup rumor is the coup is not going to work. We in Nigeria, we don't pray for that. You understand? But the truth about it is this: Nigeria is not better. Nigeria will not right now. Nigeria, we are in the dark. If it's just for only the prayer, we stand. God is sustaining Nigeria. Look at what is happening all over the country. We stand. There is no job. There is no money. The money recover. We stand. There's nothing Nigeria, our government is doing about it. You understand? Look at the accommodation stuff. There is no house provided by the government for the people here in Nigeria. So if this group is going to come out, it's going to come up. We don't pray for that. But if the military is about to take over, because I remember some years back, when the military was involved, the military era, Nigeria is far better than the democracy. Let us be sincere to ourselves. So that's what I want to contribute.
That's what you want to say, eh? Thank you very much for saying it, Mr. Smith. You are in the minority, I'm sure, because you've just finished saying that, and we have heard that maxim over and over, that
the worst civilian
administration is much better
than a military dictatorship.
And it's worrying that we have Nigerians, it's their right, if that is how they want to go, to actually be saying that they felt better off in the military era. Well, so only God knows what are the indices they are using. Better off in what way?
Well, Mr. Yori, that is absolute, permit the word, ignorance. Well studied.
Maybe his age. His age factor.
Yes. You could. We are very clear in understanding the fact that you enjoy a lot of freedoms under a civilian regime that you don't enjoy under military. So no matter what good they are giving to you, as they are giving to you with the right hand, they are collecting with the left hand. And they are collecting even much more with the left hand. There are certain things you can't query and question.
So it's a bit surprising that people in this day and age will actually be saying that they're saying that they pine, as it were, for those days. But sorry for interrupting you. Let me bring in Mr. Sadiq in Kaduna. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
It's my pleasure to be with you.
Our pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I quite appreciate your discussion. But what actually I'm always pained me about Nigerian issue is the dimension it always takes. When we have issues that really matters, we give it either religious or emotional or sentimental dimension. Now we're talking of the coup, and which is one thing that nobody will be happy with. But I think is it Mr. the first gentleman there,
Mr. Ken Okolugbo.
Mr. Ken. You see, where he's coming from, it's like we can.
I think
it's like the PDP idea. We're talking of an issue, and you're talking of the acting president not being fully in control, and you're saying you bring up other issues that should not even come up, because what really matters is the president has transferred power as the constitution demands. Now the man in charge is fully in charge. It's up to him to decide how he goes.
Yes.
Because he has full support for now.
But Mr. Okolugbo did allow later on that, look, he withdraws the word vacuum. There is no vacuum.
But in the real sense, must you joke with sensitive issues? You're talking to the world, and there are issues that you don't play with them. Like when people begin to talk about the life of the president.
Okay. Freedom, freedom of expression within reason.
Sadiq is playing the same thing that has killed us in this country. He's playing the northern card. I haven't joked to the life of His Excellency, the president. I wish him to get better.
Yes.
All I am saying is that, you see, Sadiq is also doing exactly what I was talking about in this program. He's playing the sentiment card. Okay. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's what I just did not want. I wanted to just come out plain as it is. That's why I quoted the president in 2010.
You went back to 2010.
Yes, and I'm standing on 2010.
For this 2017 conversation.
Statements that the president made in 2010.
You don't want to bring in any sentiments.
It's not sentiments.
No,
the president was right in 2010. He was very correct.
George in Ikeja, good morning, sir.
He was correct in 2010.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Uncle Yori, I would like to start with a question. Is there anything in our constitution that says the president must not fall sick? We all know that whenever a person falls sick, he is incapacitated in doing anything until he recovers. The president is not exempted from that. So if the president is sick, where is this idea of incapacitation? Whoever is sick is already incapacitated in whatever he's doing until he recovers. I don't know where people are importing these ideas from. You see, Uncle Yori, the truth of the matter is that people who want to wish others dead, they are free to do that. What lies behind what they do or what they say is what I always say that counts. People are not happy that there is somebody who has come out to say, no, we are not going to be stealing anymore. I came to the open, Uncle Yori, because I saw that a man who is not interested in stealing public funds has come to leadership. And he needs the support of every right-thinking person. Mm-hmm. When are we going to be talking about service instead of sharing in this country? Oh, it's our man, it's our turn to eat. It's our, that's just the reason why people are saying the leader must come from our area so that we can share.
Yes.
If our interest actually lies in service, you won't care where that person in leadership is coming from. I think the emphasis should be about who is serving and not where he comes from. He must be an Igbo man, he must be an Hausa man, he must be a Shekri man. This is not the question.
All right then. Thank you very much for coming in on this subject matter, Mr. George. We're human beings, unfortunately, so we have to factor all of these kind of things in. But you were making the point, that there might be different people, different camps. And we're saying that, look, it's one presidency.
Yes.
It's one presidency.
It doesn't work that way in politics. For example, let's look at this example.
This fact that it is one presidency doesn't work that way in politics.
Look at what happened.
Okay, if you want to explain it, let me quickly go to the break to get that out of the way. And then I'll come back and you explain how it doesn't work like that in politics. Stay with us, please. Okay, then, continuing this boisterous conversation that we're having, we were being simplistic about it. Say, look, the Constitution has taken care of all of this matter. The president is away, incapacitated to the extent of his illness, but there is no vacuum.
Not yet permanently incapacitated.
Who is even thinking of that? Nobody's thinking of permanent incapacitation except for wicked people. You know, so you have malaria, you recover. You have whatever it is you have, you recover. So everybody is praying for that. Now, you say it's too simplistic an idea to say that it's one presidency, and so all the staff and hangers-on and all the men of power and all the power blocks, and shouldn't everybody have allegiance to the Federal Republic, to the Constitution?
All of them do. Everybody does. You and I do. Even PDP, APC, our court party, Labour Party, all of them owe allegiance to Federal Republic of Nigeria, but they come through different directions. Now, I was going to give you an example. The example of the Jonathan Yaradua period.
1 second, please.
Yes.
I beg your pardon. Blessing is on the line, wants to join the conversation. Good morning, Blessing.
Good morning, Mr. Yore.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Please, there will not be coup in Nigeria. It cannot happen, and it will not happen in Jesus' name. Another thing is that I don't know why. When the election is coming, we will not know the difference. Maybe you are Hausa or Igbo or Yoruba. But after the election, now we will now start dividing. You are Hausa, you are Yoruba. When are we going to stop all this one? Please. And the president have been saying it. Anybody can fall sick, Mr. Yori. There was a day I fell sick. I cannot even stand up. It's my staff that was carrying me. I don't even remember that I have business. It's when you are okay that you will know that you can do this, you can do that. So we should just leave that issue to rest. What we should be concerned about now is that we should just do everything that this coup should not even exist, should not even come, because it's not even good experience. So for military to rule us, it's a very bad experience. All this one that I'm calling you now, they can come and break my head. Everybody that is doing that, they can come and beat us. So it's not the best. So we should just leave the president in UK. God will touch him and he will come back and meet us safely.
Amen.
Most
Nigerians say amen to that.
Amen.
You know, you see, we've said about as much as we can say of this particular matter, but we still have time, and there's this other topic that I said at the top that we might be looking at, and that's this whole Supreme Court, is it a judgment? Is it a ruling? What exactly is it? Well, luckily, Ken is in the house, so let me start from Ken. Ken is PDP, not just PDP. Ali Modu Sherif faction of PDP.
Well, I don't know why you're even referring me to Ali Modu Sherif. Ali Modu Sherif is the chairman of PDP.
In him now.
Oh, you have another court theory. The Court of Appeal has ruled that he's the chairman of the party.
But
so he's the chairman of my party.
But there are factions.
So no, you don't use the word faction.
As
it stands,
there are no factions.
I have a lawyer by my side here. He knows that as it stands, the appeal court's judgment is what is subsisting until the Supreme Court overturns it.
You want to take the sense of that undiluted now?
No, I'm not taking it undiluted.
Undiluted sense of the Supreme Court region now.
What happened at the Supreme Court yesterday clearly was that, well, I would support the fact that the Supreme Court has allowed the McAfee's appeal. Initially, Ali Modu Sherif was saying that
is McAfee, the other faction of PDP.
McAfee should have been shut out because the judgment you're talking about is the judgment from Lehman, if you remember, Lehman in Port Harcourt, who gave judgment to the, so to say, the contraction that brought in McAfee and said he was actually the chairman which is very illegal.
Well, you will call it
caretaker
a
committee.
Yeah.
We don't have that in our constitution in PDP. And so by the time the appeal court ruled in Port Harcourt, they said what the Liman did was wrong, and that Alimodu Sheriff remained the chairman of the PDP because Justice Buba, sorry to just draw you back, Justice Buba of the Federal High Court, Lagos, had given an injunction saying that elections should not be held to the office of the chairman, the auditor, and the secretary of the PDP for the Port Harcourt Convention that was held on the 21st of May 2016. But they went ahead in that convention and held and decided to dissolve the National Working Committee. Well, and McAfee came up. And so what the appeal court, what the Supreme Court has now said is that no, it's not fair if you shut out McAfee. At least McAfee was heard in the lower court. Let us hear McAfee in the Supreme Court. And not only would we hear McAfee, we will take all the substantive written addresses that has been exchanged by both parties, both the McAfee and the Alimodu Sheriff PDP party, so to say, and will give a judgment. Okay. So Alimodu Sheriff is the chairman of PDP. So there's no faction here.
Which faction is the legitimate?
I am loyal to the law, and I'm loyal to the chairman of PDP. That's it.
The party, you are loyal to?
I'm loyal also to the party.
To the party.
That's PDP. My party.
Faction, you know.
No, I don't agree. It's not a faction.
Okay, if you say so. It's not. But everybody in the country knows better that PDP is split down the middle. That's a different matter. Absolutely. It's not the subject for matter for today. But it's not very usual. We don't always hear from the Supreme Court like this, do we? What I mean by that is that when you hear from the Supreme Court, most ordinary members of society think that you've reached the zenith of the matter beyond which there's no more. But that's not the case here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Could you explain that briefly?
Yes, that's not the case.
There's still plenty more matter behind.
Exactly.
But they've gone to the Supreme Court.
Yes. Decisions of courts are usually divided into two: the interlocutory decisions and the final decisions. Interlocutory decisions are with regards to issues. There may be questions that may arise in the course of hearing a case, and the court may give a ruling with regards to that question.
That's the thing Ken just explained.
Yes.
So that McAfee has been allowed to be
heard.
So,
so the Supreme Court has now decided that McAfee is an interested party. That is the word. That is a phrase. That he is an interested party
that cannot be shut out.
Cannot be shut out, and that he has a right to be heard with regards to the issue of the leadership of PDP. So now the final judgment that we are waiting for will be now to say either of McAfee or Sheriff, who is the authentic chairman of PDP. That is the final judgment. That's what was decided on a few days ago.
No, yesterday.
Yesterday is an interlocutory question. As regards to the issue that the
so they now go back to where to continue?
The final judgment.
They go back to
they now go back to the final judgment at the same Supreme Court. What happens in some of these situations to expedite the hearing and decision? The Supreme Court usually takes all of the questions in one fell swoop.
But EKG, where we are coming from as a party here, for some of us who have benefited a lot from the party, I have served as a commissioner under this party. I've been a member of the Presidential Campaign Council. I was even the returning officer to the minority leader of the Federal House of Representatives, Lee Ogo. So I've served in so many capacities I can't keep repeating. But what we are saying is that let us come together as one. I'm not interested in who is the winner or who is the vanquished. We belong to one party. We are supposed to go back to the drawing board. We have lost an election. We're in the opposition. We have been labeled all sorts of names. We need to go back to the drawing board, come together as one, and give a viral opposition to the APC. That's what I think we should be doing, and not allowing the courts to settle the issue of leadership of our party. It's sad that we're having to resort to that. Was PDP ever good at resolving matters within itself? No, we used to do family affair.
PDP institutionalized corruption in Nigeria, and every political party.
I don't want to go as far.
Yes, that is the truth.
I don't want to go as far.
The military. It started from the military. Corruption started from the military.
Well,
not
I agree to that.
PDP,
But
yes.
PDP institutionalized it, and every political party has now followed suit in ensuring that corruption is held to its
to where?
Because if you don't
no, but not everybody in PDP is corrupt. I serve the government and I'm not corrupt.
Mr. Adegboyega in Alagbado, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Good morning to your guest there.
Yes.
Good morning.
I want to talk regarding the coup issue.
Okay, the phantom coup, the rumored coup.
Yes, the rumored coup. Yeah.
Not phantom.
I think I think we should be able to manage and censor our words most times when we are using them. I'm just tuning in now, so I got to see that topic before this one comes up. In 2010, Mr. President did something that pertains. Never in Nigeria, we never pray for coup in this country. Not forbid it. But at some point, I think we need to know that our words might bounce back or not. Sometimes, because the store you throw at the pantry is what the pantry throws back at it. Then Mr. President decided that they should evict the incumbent administration, then that they should just drive him away. Now the same thing is happening. We never prayed for that, but next time we should speak for prosperity's sake. Okay,
thank you very much, Mr. Adegboyega. I've completely run out of time as it is, but this is one of those kind of subject matters that
you need like 2 hours
that has legs. That
when you have someone like Ikeji here.
But between the two of you, you've actually helped us understand it a bit in just a few minutes.
Yes, but I must add seriously that it is a wake-up call on the government to now get to work and ensure that their activities touch the common man on the street, so that when such a coup, such a thing happens as a coup, it will be easy for the common man on the street to rise up in support of the government, as in support of the country itself, because those are two different things. Supporting country and supporting government, they are two different things. So it is good that the government comes now to ensure that the dividends of democracy gets to the common man, so that when these kind of things come up, it will be easy for the common man to identify with the government.
Well said, Ikechukwu Ikeji, public affairs analyst and lawyer. Thank you very much for
most obliged,
for your perspectives. And Mr. Ken Okulubo.
Always my pleasure.
Thank you very much, political analyst, staunch PDP member, proudly so.
Yes.
And usually will come across when there's any opportunity to make political capital. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. It's always my pleasure.
I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.